So we will start off the session today with the opening puja. And I invite you to put your hands, your palms together in Anjali, and we will start with Namo Tassa. Let us pay homage to the Buddha. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. We will now give offerings to the Buddha. The offering of the 5 items allows us to express our gratitude to the Buddha and serves as a symbol to help us remember the teachings. Please join in and read the verses together. Offering of light. Light symbolizes wisdom. May the light of Dhamma dispel the darkness of ignorance. Offering of incense. Incense symbolizes the fragrance of pure moral conduct. This reminds us to cultivate good conduct. Offering of water. Water symbolizes purity, clarity, and calmness. It reminds us to practice the Buddha's teachings, to cleanse one's mind, which is full of desires, ill will, and delusion, to attain the state of purity. Offering of fruits. Fruits symbolize the ultimate fruit of enlightenment, which is our goal. They also remind us that all actions will have their effects. Offering of flowers. Flowers symbolize impermanence. The freshness, fragrance, and beauty of flowers are impermanent. This reminds us that we should all live in the present. Remembering thus, we should reduce our craving and attachment. Salutation to the Triple Gem. Let us pay respects to the Triple Gem. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantam Abhivademi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Supatipano Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Sangham Namami. Going for refuge. We chant the verses for taking the 3 refuges. Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. The 5 precepts. Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Adinyadana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Kamesu Miccacara Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Musawada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Surameraya Majapamadhatana Veramani Sikapadang Samadhiyami. Recollection of the Buddha. Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vijjacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhammasarati satta dewa manusanang buddho bhagavati. Recollection of the Dhamma. Swakato bhagavata dhammo sanditiko akaliko ehipasiko opanaiko paccatam veditabo vinyuhiti. Recollection of the Sangha. Supatipano bhagavato sawaka sangho Ujupatipano bhagavato sawaka sangho Nyaya patipano bhagavato sawaka sangho Samici patipano bhagavato sawaka sangho Yadidam cattari purisa yugani atta purisa pugala esa bhagavato sawaka sangho ahuneyo pahuneyo dakineyo anjali karaniyo anuttaram punya ketam lokasati. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. We have now come to the part of announcements, several announcements to share with you. So this Sunday, which is today, at 4 o'clock, there will be a sutta study with Ajahn Sujato, and he is covering the Attaka Vagga Sutta. So Ajahn Sujato has finished the translation of this sutta, and today marks the last session. So if you're interested, kindly register in Eventbrite in the link provided so that you can receive the Zoom link to be able to attend. There is also an Indonesian Dhamma discussion happening today at 2 p.m. and this is led by Dr. Nur Huda Ismail. It will be conducted in Bahasa Indonesia, and the topic is on community ownership of countering intolerance. So this event will be held on site at BF West. So if you're interested, please come over to BF building at 2 p.m. So next Sunday, which is the last Sunday for December, we will have Venerable Chanda to share with us on solitude versus loneliness. And this is going to be a pre-recorded session, but it will be broadcast on YouTube and Facebook as well as on site at BF West. This Friday, on 31st of December, which is the last day of 2021, we will be holding a special session for those who have lost their loved ones this year. BF will be holding a memorial service for all the departed ones on this day, 31st December. And you're welcome to make a donation in the name of your departed loved ones, if you wish, and dedicate the merits to them. All donations will go towards BF's building fund. The time is at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So the donation methods, you can see it on the right-hand column, or you can come to BF website and you can find more information on this. And also after that, to usher in the new year 2022, we will be having Ajahn Brahmali to share with us on a talk in preparing for 2022. This will be held on Saturday, 1st of Jan at 3 p.m., 3 to 5 p.m. So you can tune in to Facebook Live then. Next. In 2022, February, we will also start the Dhamma Foundation course too. This is open to anyone who is keen to learn more about the Dhamma and have some basic foundation in Dhamma. And the classes will start on 26th of February all the way to 9th of April, and is held every Saturday at 2 to 5 p.m. So you can register via the website listed at the bottom here, or you can find it in BF website as well. So the Dhamma sessions will be led by Sister Sylvia Bay, and the meditation by Brother Tan Beng Hong. Next. So there will be BF Junior Youth will be having an orientation camp starting on 8th of Jan 2022 from 1 to 3 p.m. You can sign up through the QR code there in order to join, or for more information, you can contact Brother Si Yuan or Sis Elise at the mobile number 9682-5271 or 9750-2128. This is targeted at youths at the ages of 13 to 16 years old, and will be held on site at BF West Center. Next, we also want to invite you to share your favorite sutta, and you can make any donations. The proceeds will go towards BF's building fund. We are also raising funds in order to help build BF's Dhamma home. So for those who would like to support and donate towards and contribute towards the building of the BF Dhamma home, you can actually donate via PayNow or bank transfer, cash or nets or checks payable to be a Buddhist fellowship, as well as a monthly gyro option. And last but not least, we are having the talk today by Dr. Ng Yuen Yen, and she will be covering a topic that's very close to many of our hearts, and that is on Kamma 201. So we will now start on the guided meditation, which will be led by Dr. Ng.
Good morning. So today we will have a very short meditation session, and we just do abbreviated Anapanasati. So sit yourself comfortably, either on the cushion or on the chair, and then you breathe in and you breathe out. The key is to know whether your breathing in is long or is short. Know each breath, rising, falling. From the beginning to the end, breathe in and breathe out. Notice the calmness that goes with the breathing in and out. You can further enhance it by breathing in and say, calm. Breathing out, calm. And you can perceive the calmness calming you down. It's a nice feeling, breathing in and breathing out. Pleasant on the body, pleasant in the mind. When your body and your feelings are calm, you look at the mind. You experience the mind for itself. The mind that's calm is happy. Thoughts may come, they will go. They are just mind objects. That rise and fall like the breath. That comes and goes like the breath. The breathing in and the breathing out changes, impermanent. So are feelings. So is mind. So are mind objects. Beyond you to grasp. When you grasp, you suffer. So just breathe in and out. Enjoy the freedom of impermanence. Nothing to hold. Just in and out. There's nothing to fear about death. Each breath arises and each breath dies, arising and passing away. Is there anything to fear? Fear is but a mind object. Just focus on the breathing in and breathing out. So that you be calm and happy and free like your breath. So this is an abbreviated Anapanasati, a very short session, but you can go to the Majjhima Nikaya Anapanasati to go through the 16 steps of Anapanasati as taught by the Buddha. So now we come to the end of the meditation session and we shall begin with today's talk on Kamma 201. So Kamma 201, this will be the references that I'll be referring to. AN 3.137, a hair blanket, MN 60, Apanaka Sutta, AN 4.171, volition. So we have the first sutta. The first sutta is the hair blanket. This hair blanket, the Buddha say, is the worst kind of blanket. Now we know that the Buddha had gone through 6 years of ascetic practice. So what he was robed in, there could be a hair blanket or even barks of the tree or hemp. So it's natural things that they get. And hair is a natural thing. So he must have experienced a hair blanket before. A hair blanket is a blanket made of hair. And he said that hair blanket is the worst kind of blanket because it is cold in cold weather. A blanket is supposed to keep you warm, but this hair blanket is cold in cold weather, hot in hot weather, smelly, ugly, and uncomfortable. So this is the worst kind of blanket that you could have. And then he compared this worst kind of thing with the teaching of Makali Kosala. Makali Kosala, he taught a doctrine that is the worst of all the ascetics. And what is that? He taught that there is no karma, no deeds, no energy. He taught a doctrine of non-causality. So Makali Kosala teaches one of the worst teachings of the 6 ascetics or the 6 prominent teachers. Now Makali Kosala is well known to be very good in divination, and he countered or contraindicated the teaching of the Buddha. He said that there is no karma, no deeds, and no energy. But the Buddhists of the past, the perfectly enlightened ones, the Arahants, they teach the doctrine of karma, the doctrine of deeds, and the doctrine of energy. The Buddhists of the future will also teach a doctrine of karma, a doctrine of deeds, and a doctrine of energy. And now, Gautama Buddha, he also teach the doctrine of karma, a doctrine of deeds, and a doctrine of energy. So Makali Kosala is like one who lay a trap in the mouth of the river to trap fishes for their harm, suffering, calamity, and disaster. So Makali Kosala trapped men, and they trapped men who believe in his teachings, and once they are trapped, then it would be for their suffering, harm, calamity, and disaster. So Makali Kosala taught the worst kind of teachings. So now we want to know what are the teachings at the time of the Buddha. So in the time of the Buddha, there was the most prominent Brahmanism. And their karma is to perform sacrifices in order to be reunited with Brahma upon death. So this is their Brahmanism. The Brahmins, priests, will perform a lot of sacrifices of animals. So and they enrich themselves by that. So by and by, people know of their unwholesome intentions and decided to move away. And so there were homeless people, and the homeless ones have gone under teachers, and the teachers are the 6 prominent teachers at the time of the Buddha. The 6 prominent teachers, Makali Kosala, and he taught non-causality. So no karma, negative. Purana Kassapa, he taught non-action. Non-action in the sense that if you do good or you do bad, along the river of the Ganges, there is nothing, no effect at all. So he says there is no karma. Pakuta Kachayana, he was an Indian atomist, and he says that we are made up of 7 parts. the 4 elements of earth, water, heat, and air, and the happiness and unhappiness and soul. And he says that if you put a knife through a body, you're just going through the elements. You will not be hurting. So he says there's no karma. Ajita Kesa Kambali, he's a nihilist. So it is like many that is found in this world who says that we only live and after that we die, and that's all to it. There is no rebirth. So those who do not believe in rebirth believe in nihilism. The only people who do not have rebirth are the arahants. They have completed their job. There is no more rebirth. For the ordinary persons who still have ignorance and still have craving, whether you like it or not, there will be rebirth. So those who believe that there is no rebirth contradicts the Buddha. And Sanjaya Balabutta is a slippery ear who cannot commit himself to either whether there is karma or no karma, for not only karma, but for all other issues. So when he's asked a question, he would like a slippery ear who will sit on the fence. Now, of these 6 teachers, the one that says that there is a lot of karma is Nikandananda Buddha. The now common is Jainism. And he says that karma of the past heavy deeds are encrusted on the body, on the soul. So you have to do self-mortification extreme to the extreme, such that this heavy karma can be removed. So you can see an extreme. There's no karma and there is heavy karma. And Buddha taught that there is karma and there's the end to karma. So the Buddha taught a doctrine of karma, a doctrine of deeds, a doctrine of energy. To elaborate on Makali Kosala, he says that there is no karma, no deeds, and no energy. He says that life is, or the samsara, is just like a ball of thread. You just need to roll it down. At the end of it, you will be enlightened after 8,500,000 lives. You don't have to do anything. There's no need to exert yourself to actually be enlightened. So this is what he taught. And he says that everything is fated. And you don't have to do anything at all. Your path is laid out for you. You don't have to exert yourself at all. So this is what he taught, that you do not need to exert yourself. And so he was very good at divination of the future. And he was very much sought after by kings and chettiars and people who believe in divination and what charts their life. So the Buddha says that it is the doctrine of karma, that you must exert yourself. You must strive for nibbana. And you should not be predeterministic, that everything is in the laid out, that the path is laid out for you, and that there is no energy need to be exerted. So, in the Apanaka Sutta, it says that Majjhima Nikaya 60. The essence of it, I will just talk about the essence of it. You can read up about the different practices of the different teachers in this sutta. But the Buddha says that these are wrong views. And when you have a wrong view, you will have a wrong intention. When you have the wrong intention, you will have the wrong speech. So this is like, if you say Noble Eightfold Path, it will be the right view, the right intentions, the right speech. So if you have the wrong views, that everything is fated, that everything is nihilistic, that it's only just this life, there is no rebirth, you don't inherit your karma, there's no next life, then when there is a wrong view, then you have the wrong intentions. And because we have the roots of greed, hatred, and delusion, then these wrong intentions may mean wrong conduct of killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and then taking alcoholics or intoxicants, and wrong speech. This wrong speech will be like lying, divisive speech, and gossiping, harsh speech. But more importantly, when they have a view, when they say wrong speech, they will oppose the noble ones. They will oppose the teachings of the Buddha. When they oppose the teachings of the Buddha, they are doing themselves a lot of demerits. Whatever merits that they have accrued before disappeared, and all that is left is demerits, because they opposed the noble ones. They opposed the noble Dhamma. When there is karma, and there is a result of karma, and yet they say that there is no karma, then there is a tendency for misconduct and unwholesomeness. So when there is wrong speech, they will oppose the noble ones, the noble Dhamma. Then they would cause harm and suffering for themselves and others. So this is the result of wrong view. So when you have a wrong view, the Buddha says that wrong view, especially at the time of death, will bring you to the lower realms. When one does misconduct, then you go to the lower realms. So this is the gist of Anapanasati Sutta, MN 60. You can actually notice that Makali Kosala say there's no need energy, but the others just say non-action, and this one says it's just an atomist, and Ajita Kisser Kimberler says the end of life is that's all you see and that's all you get. So you can see he says no need to have energy. And so this is the reason why the Buddha says that he is the worst of the lot. that he believes in fate, whereas the Buddha has asked us to practice, avoid evil, do good. So this is Kamma. Avoid evil, do good, purify yourself. So Kamma is Chaitanya. Chaitanya by body, speech, and mind. In other words, intentions. Intentions. Other words of Kamma or intentions is also known as volition. So this is what we will inherit. This is Kamma, is our inheritance. This is also Kamma. Sankhara is also Kamma. Sankhara means you make together. Sankhara, you have volition by body, speech, and mind. So this is equivalent. So you can see the Buddha taught dependent conditionality. He taught a doctrine of dependent conditionality. And this is knowing dependent conditionality, you know the Buddha. He says that if you see dependent conditionality, you see the Buddha. And so if you see Kamma, you see the Buddha. You see the actions and effects. And then in the end, you do not want to produce neither bright or dark actions. So the neither dark or bright actions are the 7 Factors of Enlightenment and the Noble Eightfold Path. So now we reflect on the Buddha. We reflect on the Buddha when he says that his teaching is a doctrine of causality, dependent conditionality. So his life is that of intentions. When he saw the divine messengers of old age, sickness, and death, he determined to get out of that suffering. And not only this, we heard in Atthadanta Sutta, number 15 of Atthavaga of Sutta Nibbata that Venerable Sujata is doing. He reminds us that it's not only these divine sights that the Buddha saw, he also saw the violence that men do to one another. And because of this violence that he can see, these men are running around in circles. And he's fearful. And he is from the warrior caste. He would have seen men fighting men. So he says not only the divine messengers that make him determined to bring him his intention to go to the homeless life, to shave off his hair, shave off his beard, take on the robes, and strive for the end of suffering. So he chose to go and learn. So you can see this is also known as choices. Willing. Your will to do this or that. So he chose to look for teachers. But the 2 teachers that he went to, the 2 teachers, Uddaka Ramaputta, Alara Kalama only taught him to the 7th and the 8th jhanas, and did not lead him to his end of suffering. So you see his intentions, he says, this is not the end. I must strive. And for 6 years he strived. And he practiced the severe self-mortification of asceticism, that he nearly died. And he decided that he must have the middle path, taking rice, milk, and then seeing on the day of his enlightenment the karma of his past. He sees the actions and the effects of a lot of his past lives, and he sees the karma of others. He sees the past lives of others, the effects, the actions and the effects. And then in the 3rd watch of the night, he have ended all his karma. He has removed all his defilements. So it is karma. It is a striving that one has to do before the end of karma. And then when he was enlightened, the Mara came to tempt him and asked him that it is better for you to enter into Mahaparinibbana now that you have become enlightened. But he says, no, my 4 full exemplars of monks, nuns, male and female lay disciples have not been established yet. And he would establish that, because that's what the Buddhists of the past have done. And the Buddhists of the future will also do, to establish the 4 exemplars of monks, nuns, male and female lay disciples, to carry on the teachings of the Buddha, the Dhamma, for the welfare and the happiness of all. And so you can also see that throughout the 45 years of teachings, he has conducted himself, body, speech, and mind perfectly. And then at the end, on the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, when he, at the Chapala shrine, he let go of his life principle with a resounding earthquake. And so you can see that here there were intentions all the way, and that this letting go of the life principle, so that he entered into Mahaparinibbana. And that his advice to us, the ones that came after him, is to strive with energy. We have to strive with energy. So this energy, like he had strived with energy. And so in the striving with energy, you have to have the intention, and you have to exert the energy and your mind on doing it. So how do we see this karma? We can see this karma, this exerting, this energy, this deeds in the practice that he tells us to do, in the 37 factors of enlightenment. In the 37 factors of enlightenment, he says you have to exert yourself to have the 4 foundations of mindfulness. You have to intend to practice mindfulness of the body, of breathing, of postures, of activities, that you are mindful of all your bodily actions, and that you are mindful of your feelings, you are mindful of your mind, and you are mindful of the mind objects, you are mindful of Dhamma. So you have to pay attention, you have to intend to be mindful. So initially it is effortful. You have to be with energy. Then when you experience the joy, then it becomes effortless. So here we have 4 foundations of mindfulness and the 4 right efforts. In order to remove unwholesomeness, in order to remove defilements, you have to exert yourself to abandon defilements. When you see arising, you have to abandon it. And you have to, all your bad habits, you have to exert yourself to restrain yourself from doing the bad habits that has been your inclination. And then when there is good, you have to nourish the good, grow the good. So you have to exert yourself. You have to have an intention to do this. And then when you have to have the 4 spiritual bases, the 4 spiritual bases is that you want, you wish, you desire to arrive, to reach, to see what the Buddha saw. You want to see what the Arahant saw. You want to see and taste the fruits that were mentioned, that this is the bliss of renunciation, the bliss of enlightenment, the bliss of solitude. So when you have that, you have faith in the Buddha because you experienced what he taught. You saw for yourself. You enter upon it. That these 4 spiritual bases of desire, this wholesome desire, that you have to exert energy. This energy is to apply the mind to investigate. So you have to exert, you have to have Kamma, you have to do wholesome, you have to purify yourself. So that you will develop your 5 faculties of faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. In order that they become powers, 5 powers, to lift you out of suffering. That you then develop this 7 factors of enlightenment. These 7 factors of enlightenment are but mindfulness, investigation, energy, rapture, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity. They may be words, 7 factors of enlightenment, but the basics is the mindfulness, the investigation, the energy. And then with that, the rapture comes naturally. The tranquility comes naturally. And that the concentration comes naturally and equanimity comes. And each can be experienced for itself. It can be an intention wearing of a cloak, like what Sariputta says, for the 7 factors of enlightenment. And then we have this, the Noble Eightfold Path. So the Noble Eightfold Path has to have, you have to have the intention to walk the path. You have to have the intention to walk the path, and so there is a doctrine of Kamma, a doctrine of deeds, a doctrine of energy. So these 37 factors of enlightenment is the path, is the doctrine of Kamma, a doctrine of deeds, and a doctrine of energy. So we see that this is what the Buddha taught. He taught this dependent causality. If you do this, then the ignorance that brings about suffering. So this ignorance here, so the causes, the origin of karma, or the causes of volitional formations is ignorance. Ignorance of the 4 Noble Truths. Ignorance of greed, hatred, and delusion. So when this greed, hatred, and delusion is smashed, then there would be no bad and no sad. It is so fast. This karma is so fast, nanosecond, in a split of a second, that you perform by your karma, and you inherit your karma. Whatever suffering you have is self-inflicted. Everything is self-inflicted. So you see, volitional formations, if you have afflicted, if you do bad karma, you will suffer. If you do bright karma, you will have bright result. So this is the doctrine of dependent conditionality. So in this particular sutta, dependent conditionality, AN 4.171, he says this. He says our volition, our choices, our volition and choices. He says, when there is a body, there is bodily action by which pain and pleasure arise. When we do some bodily action, pain and pleasure arise. When there is speech, and there is speech-verbal formation, pain and pleasure arise internally. And with a similar with a mind, when there is a mind, then when we do mental actions, then pain and pleasure arise internally. And all these actions are conditioned by ignorance. So he says it is prompted by oneself, that you prompt yourself to walk the path, or you have good friends who prompt you to walk the path. So the prompting of actions, wholesome actions, can be by oneself or by another. And similarly for unwholesome actions, you can do it by yourself or by another, by prompting by another. And that he says, you may do something with clear comprehension, or with no clear comprehension. So it's obvious, right? When you decided to do something by yourself, it's from what you want, so you go ahead and do whatever action by body, speech, or mind. You want to plan something, you just go ahead. So when another prompts you, tells you to go and listen to talks, that is a wholesome one. But there are others, like Moggallana's wife. Moggallana's wife prompted Moggallana in many aeons away, in a particular life, that she was tired of caregiving for his blind parents, and that he should get rid of them. And when she repeatedly drummed it into him, he brought it upon himself to bring his blind parents on a cart, on a journey into the forest, and then in the depths of the forest, he beat them, and while beating them, say that there are robbers and highwaymen, etc., beating them. And so the parents call out to him, "Run, son, run." And when he heard this, he suddenly realized that this was very unwholesome. But what he inflicted on his parents is a heinous act. And for that act, he was in aeons of hell. And so this is prompted by another. And he did it with no clear comprehension, blur like a zombie, He just, as you say so, I will do. So there are many. If you have evil friends, Evil friends will tell you, because they may drink, eat, and be merry, so you think these are your friends, and so you do this in a pack. So they do unwholesome things together. So you see, it's very important to avoid evil, intentionally avoid evil. Don't go into a cesspit at your own peril. So you have to intentionally avoid evil. Avoid evil. See it coming, move aside. That is the wise way. Now, so you see, oneself, another, with clear comprehension. If it is clear comprehension, you know it's unwholesome, you will practice the 4 right efforts you would not do by body, speech, or mind. So he says that, the Buddha says that if you do this, then when the ignorance ends, then there is not the body, there's no body, no speech, no mind. There is no fear, F-I-E-L-D, no fear. No karma is the fear, and where consciousness is the seat. But now when the Arahant has realized there is no fear, no karma fear, there is no need to, there's no base, no fear, no location where the consciousness will sit, because there is no more karma of ignorance, of greed, hatred, or delusion. And so there is the end of suffering. So you see that he says that this, he taught the doctrine of karma, he taught the doctrine of deeds, and you have to, and taught the doctrine of energy, and that he tells us that all we have to do is to dare. We have to dare. Dare is to be diligent in the practice. That means every day you must practice. You have to be ardent. And you have to be resolute. And you have to apply energy for enlightenment. This is a path, not for the faint-hearted, but one who is diligent, ardent, resolute, and full of energy to walk that path. He says that, since we have time, I shall talk on there is a AN, I think AN 4.232 to 238. AN 4, and how I get all these suttas, I just look at Anguttara Nikaya in the index, I look for karma, then I look at all the topics on karma, then I choose the ones that I like, so, and then I'll share. So, Anguttara 4.232 is on a chapter on karma. This is a chapter on volition. This chapter on karma says there's dark action, and this will give you dark effects. Bright action or bright karma will give you bright actions, bright effects. Dark and bright will give you dark and bright effects, bright. And then neither dark nor bright will give you end of suffering. So what is dark actions? Dark actions is the breaking of the 5 precepts, okay, killing, etc. Dark actions, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and then taking of addictive substances. Dark action will bring you to dark effects. And of course, it is the killing of mother, father, hurting an arahant, or injuring the Buddha. This will give you, this is a dark action. Bright actions are the restraining from killing, stealing, all the precepts that we have to keep, and that we want to encourage others to keep, and we praise, the keeping of these precepts. For those who do dark actions, when they encourage others to do dark actions, and they praise dark actions, especially on social media, etc., there's so many people that are affected in social media, then the effects is like a boomerang that will come back to you. It is a sure thing. So similarly, when there is bright action, you will have bright effects. So the bright effects, so it's non-afflictive. This dark effects is afflictive. So you get reborn into a place that is afflictive. So it's like hell or the lower realms, the woeful states. The bright action have bright effect. So it's non-afflictive state. So it's like the heavens, divine, celestial. So when you do an action that has bright and dark, then you have both afflictive and non-afflictive effects, like in the human realms, the lower devas realms, and maybe so this is where you experience afflictive and non-afflictive. Then when you do neither dark nor bright, then it's the end of suffering. So when you neither do dark nor bright actions, and what is this? He says, what is neither dark nor bright actions? He says it's the Noble Eightfold Path. And he says it's the 7 Factors of Enlightenment. So when you read, especially 238, 237, he clearly states that when you don't do any neither dark nor bright actions, this is the Noble Eightfold Path. And the Noble Eightfold Path, when you have the right understanding of the 4 Noble Truths, that this is suffering, that the origin of suffering has to be abandoned, then suffering ceases, and that the path is developed. So he says that the Noble Eightfold Path, with this view in mind, you have the right thoughts, you have the right speech, you have the right actions, you have the right livelihood, you have the right effort, you have the right mindfulness and the right concentration to right knowledge and to right liberation. So he says that this is the practice where you would end the suffering. And he emphasized this 7 Factors of Enlightenment, which is the fulfillment of the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And he says that even you are you're born in a higher caste, so he called it white caste, and lower caste he called it black. May not be politically correct to say this in the current times, but this is what he says: white and black classes, and that if you do, the white can become, you can have a white class, you can have a black class, and you can have neither. So there is six permutations here. So when you have a higher, you are born in a family of status, white class, then, so it's a higher status class. If you do bright actions, then you have bright effects. So you go to a white class. When you are higher status, but you do dark actions, you can go to a black state. So there are people in the higher echelons of society who do dark actions. They will go down to the Wufu states, and that is a black class. Then they also, if the white class, they practice neither bright nor dark, the Noble Eightfold Path, then they realize Nibbana. Similarly, this Nibbana does not exclude the lower caste. The path is open to all. So if it is in the lower class, he can practice well, and he can develop, and he practice bright actions. He can have a white class. But if he go from dark to dark, then he only go to a black class. And then if he practice the 37 Factors of Enlightenment, the Noble Eightfold Path, then he goes to neither, and that is Nibbana. So there are 6 permutations, and the potential for everyone to realize is there. So now is 45 minutes already. So I want to summarize, to say that the Buddha taught a doctrine of karma, a doctrine of this, a doctrine of energy, a doctrine of dependent conditionality for the end of suffering, to the end of bad and sad. And that this requires effort to practice the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the 4 right efforts, the 4 spiritual bases, so to develop the 5 faculties into 5 powers, 7 factors of enlightenment, the Noble Eightfold Path. So with this, I end the lecture today. So I open for questions.
Okay. Any questions from online? One question is, dear Dr. Ng, who performs neither dark nor bright Kamma?
So the Arya perform the neither dark nor bright Kamma, and the one who is walking, so when you do the salutation of the Sangha, there are 8 kinds of people. When you say 8 kinds of people, there are the ones that is on the path and the fruit. So the path and the fruit of the first Sotapanna. So Sotapanna walking on the path, the Noble Eightfold Path. So they have then they get the fruit. So the second one is the once returner, path and fruit. Third is the path and fruit also, and that is the non-returner, and the fourth is the Arahant, aspiring Arahant, and then the fruit is the Arahant. And so the ones who perform this karma of walking the Noble Eightfold Path, of practicing Sila, Samadhi, Panya, with diligence, with ardency, with resoluteness, with energy, this is the one that is performing the neither bright nor dark karma. And you can read it from that sutta that I mentioned to you, AN 4.232 to 238. This is a chapter on karma, and that how to practice that. So the person who walked the path is a person exerting, practicing the neither bright nor dark karma to end the suffering. Second question?
Any more questions?
No more question.
One coming up. Okay, we have one. Is practicing Brahma Vihara considered or categorized as bright or neither bright nor dark? Kamma. Thank you.
Brahma Vihara. Brahma Vihara is, the Buddha called it Brahma Vihara because this is Brahma Sahampati, for example. There is a fear, a Kamma fear of Brahma gods. So the Brahma gods are the gods of loving kindness, the gods of compassion, the gods of altruism or altruistic joy, and then there's the gods of equanimity. So these are gods of the Brahma Viharas. So this part of it is anchored in the second part of the Noble Eightfold Path. When it says the second part of the Eightfold Path that you have to renounce, you have to have avyapada, and you have to have avihimhasa, that means you have to have nikama, avyapada, avihimsa, means that you renounce sense pleasures, that you do not have ill will, so you practice loving kindness, and that you practice compassion. And this is what the Buddha practiced. Every day, he sends out loving kindness in the four directions, up and then below. So there's all around, for metta. It is from his compassion that we inherit the teachings. So practicing Brahma Viharas is an important part of the practice. It is a part of the Noble Eightfold Path. But even then, after saying this, we know about Dhanajani. Dhanajani was a Brahmin who committed dark actions in cheating the government, etc. Because he says, hey, I have so many mouths to feed, But then Sariputta reminded him, when you go to the lower realms, then who is the one going to the lower realms? Your relatives will not be the one to go to the lower realms. You commit the act, you will go to the lower realms. And then he changed. And that on his deathbed, Sariputta led him to the Brahma world. And then he ended there. Because he thought that the Brahmins love to be reunited with the Brahma. So when we say that he left him there and he reported to the Buddha, and the Buddha knew that Dhanajani passed away, he admonished Sariputta, you should lead him further. So in that sense, we listen to the Buddha. We listen to the Buddha, he says, the Brahma world is also impermanent. There is no realm that is permanent. You could have led him on to realize further. So it's to say that Brahma Vihara is not the end all. So we also notice in that one sutta, Anguttara Nikaya, Book of 11, letting go of volitions to go to the deathless state. So the Buddha says, I think it's not the Buddha. Anyway, it's Dasama. And he's talking to Venerable Ananda. And Venerable Ananda, he says, how do we get to the deathless state? And Ananda then related to Dasama the Brahmin that there are 11 doors to the deathless state. The 11 doors to the deathless state, 4 of them are the Brahma Viharas. 4 of them are the jhanas, 1 to 4. And the 3 will be the jhanas 5 to 7. So you can see jhanas 1 to 7 he says you can go through to the deathless state. And that the 4 Brahma Viharas is part of these doors to the deathless state. He says if you let go of the volition, if you let go of that volition to enter into that state, because volition is conditioned by ignorance, and anything that is conditioned is gross. It's part of samsara. So although the Brahma Viharas can bring about because there is no boundary to the love, no boundary to compassion. There is liberation through the Brahma Vihara, but it is not permanent. It is impermanent, and it is conditioned. So you have to see that volition and to let go of volition, because volition, the root is greed, delight, desire, to go into that Brahma Vihara state. And any volition with delight is defiled. When it's defiled, you don't want to touch, because you would be knocking on, when you touch, you'll be knocking on bad and sad. So it is the path, part of the path. But the Buddha says it is the raft, and the raft has to be abandoned. Once you see the picture, you have to abandon it. And that if you do not abandon it, then you would be in the conditioned state. And the Buddha taught the unconditioned state of non-craving, non-delighting, non-desiring, non-ill will, non-delusion of I, me, mine. So who wants to go into the Brahma Vihara? So it is a gradual process of seeing and letting go, seeing and letting go.
Thank you, Dr. Ng, for the long explanation for this one. We have about 5 or 6 questions now.
Oh, okay.
If a person's job requires to indirectly or directly kill insects, is it bad karma?
So this is a very simple question. You say yes. No other way about it. Just as you love your life, the insects love their life too. Just because they are smaller doesn't mean that they should be killed. Just because you are in the lower status of society, that you should be pushed around, that you can be obliterated, you can be deleted, you can be depopulated. So this is a simple answer.
Thank you, Dr. Ng. Another question. Mindfulness of breathing, when developed and cultivated, fulfills satipatthana. What is the difference between them?
Difference between Anapanasati and satipatthana. Satipatthana involves the whole of the practice. So satipatthana is of the sati means mindfulness. Patana, where is the foundations, the establishment of the foundations. So, of the body is of different parts. So, Anapanasati is breathing, one part of the kaya or the body. Then, so this is one part of the body. Anapanasati is one part of the Satipatthana. So then the other parts are postures and the activities. This is what your body does. So this is Anapanasati is just a part of the body formations. And this is Anapanasati is a path that the Buddha walked towards enlightenment. The end of this is the practice he remembered as a child under the rose apple tree. The pleasure that he gets from breathing in and out. But in this pleasure is not the pleasure of sense pleasures, not of the sense pleasures that people indulge in. So he says that this could be the way to enlightenment. So that's why Anapanasati led the Buddha to enlightenment. And so we follow the footpath of the Buddha. So Anapanasati and the steps that he taught us, and it is well written in the Anapanasati Sutta. So you practice according to what he's instructed, and you may get the results of what he, that with the practice, what you get, just as he had.
Thank you, Dr. Ng. I'll combine these two questions. If someone has broken a precept in this lifetime, what can be done to, the person wrote, repent or gain the merits to pay back? And if one committed heavy akusala karma in their past, can kindly advise the best ways to reduce the bad fruits in the future?
Okay. So we all have greed, hatred, and delusion. So we all have done and broken our precepts when we did not know the Dhamma. So ignorance was the reason. But then like the Nikanda Nadaputta says that we must do heavy karma. We must do self-mortification. And their self-mortification, to the worst part of it is they starve themselves to death. So Chandragupta, the grandfather of King Asoka, starved himself to death. But the Buddha says that he himself practiced self-mortification, but it didn't give him any realization, but a lot of pain and suffering. He says the way out of pain and suffering is that you practiced, you know that you have done wrong, that you do not do it again. So that determination not to do the act again is the karma. It's one karma, to recognize that that act is unwholesome, is good karma. To even know that it is bad karma and not to repeat it is good karma. To practice restraint, to practice that seeing, so we say that how to remove the stains or defilements is the most important. So in the Majjhima Nikaya number 2, removal of stains, Buddha taught us to do this, how to remove your stains. He says that you have to see that this is unwholesome. So you won't do it again. So that is removing your defilement. You have to use whatever things you have. You have to use whatever things you have. Most of the time when you do a defilement, it's out of greed, hatred, or delusion. So you want to use whatever things you have very simply, very simple, so that you do not go into the act of defilement again. Then he says you must restrain yourself. Restrain yourself from doing it. So this is good karma. You have to remove yourself from doing it. Restrain and remove. And you may have to endure whatever effects you have. You endure it. Whatever dark effects you experience, you endure it. It's part of it. Okay? And you avoid people who will encourage you to do bad karma. You avoid them like the plague. You avoid them like the COVID. And then you have to develop all these other things. This is good karma. Only good karma, you can help you to walk the path. This is every moment you do would determine your future. Every moment you do, every karma you do, determine your future. So now you have seen the end. You have seen that this is unwholesome. No point beating yourself up. No point admonishing yourself. You keep on admonishing yourself. You keep on reminding yourself of this dark karma. You will darken your mind. You will cause defilement. The Buddha says this is careless attention. If you keep going back to it and have a sense of depression, you have sad, sorrow, lamentation, what does it help? Does it help you? You want to be bright. He says if you do this, if you keep flagellating yourself, and you keep reminding yourself, then at the time of your death, you are with a sense of regret. And when you have this sense of regret, surely you go to the lower states. So it's very important, he says, you have to develop this sense of love and kindness for yourself. So Christ would say, who have not committed any sin, let him throw a rock or something at the person. Who has not committed? Everyone has committed. So you do not blame yourself too much. You have fallen, you have always picked yourself up. So you don't flagellate yourself, you don't keep on reminding yourself. You just go forward with the bright. And when you say right thoughts, you have to have loving kindness and compassion for yourself. That this is something that I've done. And Angulimala, he had killed 999. But when he stopped doing all these other things. And he realized, Moggallana, the chief disciple of the Buddha, he done something aeons away, and on his particular life, the last life, he was chopped up. And so, but the mind is free. The body is just the elements. If you suffer, It's just part of the karma of having a human body. But your mind has to be liberated. And so the practice of it is that you have to be kind to yourself. Put the past behind. So the Buddha says, do not go into the past. Do not go into the future. Change mind. No more entry. So the Buddha taught us, do not go to the past. Do not cling to the 5 aggregates of suffering, of clinging. Don't cling to the past, nor think of the future. Just be in the present. Because in the present is where you see Nibbana. Not in the past, not in the future, but now. So, do not have, we are all children. You have to take yourself as immature. You may be old in the body, but it's immature in the mind. So when you're immature in the mind, we have to give ourselves leeway to grow. So don't say that it is like the end of the world. It's only end of suffering. So you can practice the removal of things, and you have to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. You have the right view, so you have the right understanding, so you have the right thoughts.
Thank you, Dr. Ng. A last question here. Doing good, for example, helping underprivileged people, is that considered white action or neither white nor black action?
Okay, so there is another sutta, no? There's another sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, the Great 40. I don't know what number is it, Great 40. So in walking the path, the Noble Eightfold Path, there's already 8. Then you plus 2, which is the knowledge and the liberation. So when you do good, you just do good. You don't want to have the agenda that you are accumulating merits. When you have this agenda that you are accumulating merits, this is already attained. When you say that I want to accumulate merits, then the act itself is partially tainted. So do it for doing sake. Do it because it brings happiness and welfare to the other beings, so that you do not do it impurely. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Dr. Ng. That is Majjhima Nikaya 117, the Great 40. Okay. Let me hand over to Sis Lisa to end the session.
Okay.
Thanks again, Dr. Ng.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Sis Eiling and Dr. Ng, for the insightful talk today. Before we go into the closing, puja and closing, just a quick announcement and clarification again on the In Memoriam event on 31st December. This service is for all departed ones, whether they left us this year or in past lives hundreds of years ago. The event will have special blessings from Ajahn Brahmali and will be helmed by Sister Sylvia Bay. So you're welcome to make a small donation in the name of your departed loved ones if you wish, and dedicate the merits to them. Kindly register at Eventbrite before 28th of December at 5 p.m. and do ensure that you include the names of your departed loved ones. For registrations after 28th December, Names of departed ones will not be read out. So do register early as soon as possible through the Eventbrite website. This can be seen in the poster that's being flashed now. So there are several methods that you can choose to make the donation as listed on the right column. Okay, so now we will do dedication of merits, and today we would like to share merits in memory of Madam Chua Leng Leng, who departed on 11th of December. She is the sister of one of our BF members. So let's do dedication of merits. In Anjali, let us invite all sentient beings to participate in our acquired merits. Etawata ca amhehi sambatam punya sampadang sabbe dewa anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya etawata ca amhehi sambatam punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya etawata ca amhehi sambatam punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Dedication of merits for the departed relatives and friends. Idame nyatinam hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idame nyatinam hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idame nyatinam hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. End of service dedication. I dedicate the merits which I have accumulated to the cultivation of my mind in order to bring happiness and benefits to all sentient beings. I dedicate the merits to my parents, children, spouse, relatives, friends, colleagues, and my adversaries, wishing them long life, good health, happiness, and prosperity. May we never part from the Triple Gem, and may we always walk the path towards enlightenment. Closing homage. Let us pay respects to the Triple Gem. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantam Abhivademi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Sangham Namami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sabbe sata sukhi hontu. May you be well and happy. Wishing you a pleasant week ahead. Thank you. See you next week.